To commemorate the founding of New Orleans in 1718, WYES presents this tricentennial moment in celebration of our city's past and present.
Some musical connections to the river are surprising.
Well, a lot of New Orleans rhythm and blues musicians have worked as longshoremen on the river, mainly unloading ocean-going ships. And I used to play with a blues guitarist named Boogie Bill Webb, who lived in the lower Ninth Ward, and he was a longshoreman.
The International Longshoremen's Association initially had separate chapters for black and white laborers.
In recent years, unions have been diminished quite a bit, but there was a definite connection between the longshoremen and the music community, and one of the big venues in the 50s and 60s for R&B performances was the Longshoremen's Hall, the ILA Hall. Alan Toussaint, Irma Thomas, Smiley Lewis, Ernie Cato, Lee Dorsey, Dave Bartholomew, just the whole pantheon of New Orleans R&B.
The other hall, when they built the new hall on when the Longshoremen 1419, Clarence Henry's Union, built the new hall uptown. Most of the dances were there. I went to numerous wedding receptions, and every high school dance we had was there. I can rightfully tell you that I probably was in that place about 200 times in my life.
Well, Aaron Neville actually worked as a stevedore, and we think of him as muscular and the muscle shirts, and knowing his sense of culture of downtown and Riverside, New Orleans, and he told me actually that he worked, in the holds of ships, dangerous work, heavy loads. He's felt endangered a few times on the job in the dark down there with heavy weights swinging around. And he said he sang to pass the time, and he said the hold of an empty ship is a great place to sing. Doo-wop music, because it echoes back to you, and it just sounds so majestic. It's your own private opera house in the dark, except don't pay so much attention to the song you forget that huge pallet is coming swinging in your direction.
When Aaron Neville's Tell It Like It Is was #1, he was still down in the hold of ships, humping coffee sacks out.
Some longshoremen have been part of the Mardi Gras Indian community. The tradition of masking as an Indian at carnival time and around St. Joseph's Day dates back to the late 19th century. This stems from earlier days in New Orleans when slaves would escape their master and find shelter with local native Indian tribes.
There is definitely an overlap between the longshoremen and the New Orleans R&B/jazz musician community and the Mardi Gras Indians. And that, to a large degree, is because there's a great overlap between the Mardi Gras Indians and musicians, particularly in some families such as the Nevilles.
WYS's New Orleans Tricentennial Moments are brought to you by the Miro Foundation and presented in association with the Historic New Orleans Collection.